Okay, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is that you have joked, again, I'm Barbara Israel, I'm one of Walter Scott's paralegals, and this is Mr. Scott, bankruptcy attorney for 40 years. That's 4 decades, no joke. So, okay, a lot of times when you are telling people about Chapter 13, you jokingly call it a Chapter 20, and I wanted you to explain what that means.
Well, lawyers, like any other profession, have comments they make that are not supposed to be heard by the public. But a lot of attorneys file a Chapter 13, understanding that they'll collect the full fee for the 13. When it fails, they then will be turned into a Chapter 7. Well, if you take 13 and 7 and add together, it's 20. There is no Chapter 20 in the bankruptcy law, but lawyers generally refer to it as a Chapter 20, knowing that they're putting the client in a 13 and knowing it's going to fail and knowing that they'll come back to do a 7. And I think it's highly unethical.
Okay, but how is somebody, given that there are certain, limits about how much income you're allowed to make that make you a 13 versus a 7, if you qualify, if you make enough money, because you have to make usually more money than the average bear to be a Chapter 13, if you fail out of that, how are you suddenly able to be turned into a Chapter 7? This is what confuses me.
Oh, well, here's the problem. You can be a 7 with any amount of money. However, what happens is that the trustee then comes and starts grabbing assets. And the whole idea of going Chapter 7 is that you want to keep your home and your clothes and your car and as much of your assets as possible. So with what are called the exemptions, we try and fit you into a 7. However, if you're coming out of a 13 because you failed at a 13, you go into a 7, you're at the mercy of the trustee, because whatever you have in assets that he feels he can grab to pay the creditors, he simply grabs them. He seizes them. The federal marshals come out and take the assets.
Ah, so if you're a 13 that fails and becomes a 7 and you have a lot of assets, you're going to lose your assets in conjunction with now having filed 2 bankruptcies in a row.
Exactly. Well, you're not really filing 2. You just call it a conversion, or you convert from a 13 to a 7. And it's not very good. I mean, you don't get a lot of choice on what he grabs. He grabs the stuff he can sell at the most liquid, because obviously he wants to satisfy the creditors.